Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the City of Oxnard Planning Commission regular meeting for Thursday, February 3rd, 2022. Wow, already in February. A quick housekeeping item in accordance with Assembly Bill 361. Members of the commission, public, and staff will be participating via teleconference. As shown on the agenda and online, please email all written public comments to planning@oxnard.org. Those wishing to speak may visit oxnard.org/city-meetings to fill out the speaker form or by calling 805-385-7878 by 3 p.m. the day of the meeting. During the meeting, a 3-minute opportunity will be given to the public for additional members to participate. Please view the bottom of your screens for the call-in number, meeting ID, and passcode. You will then follow the prompts and be connected to the meeting. When participating in the meeting, please keep your microphones muted until your turn to speak. Because the meeting is electronic, all votes will be done by roll call. Lastly, for presenters, when needing to advance to the next slide, please clearly state next slide. At this time, we'll now go to our Madam Secretary to establish our quorum.
Chair Chavez,
Here.
Vice Chair Owejo,
Here.
Commissioner Connolly,
Here.
Commissioner Lopez,
Here.
Commissioner Meyer.
Here.
Commissioner Nash,
Here.
Commissioner Sanchez.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. We'll now move to our pledge of allegiance. And Mr. Kolwitz, would you mind leading us this evening?
The chair, it'd be my honor. So if you could stand, place your hand over your heart and repeat along with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Mr. Kolwitz. At this time, we'll now move to public comments for items not on the agenda. Members of the public wishing to address the Planning Commission regarding any item not on the agenda, but within the subject matter jurisdiction of the commission may do so at this time. However, the commission cannot take action on any items presented during the public comments and will be referred to the commission secretary. All public comment speakers will have 3 minutes. Madam Secretary, just to confirm, we did not have anyone sign up, correct?
Correct.
All right, so we'll go ahead and follow AB 361. This is time for 3 minutes for any additional members of the public watching to provide any comments for items not on the agenda. You may view the bottom of your screen for the call-in number, meeting ID, as well as the passcode.
And Chair Chavez, if you would like, while we're doing the 3-minute countdown here, the Planning Commission can move forward with the consent agenda if that is of interest.
Oh, good to know. Commissioners, let's go ahead and move to the consent agenda. Just for informational purposes, and Mr. Kolwitz, you can correct me if I'm wrong, items D2 and D3, which is our approval of our minutes, needs to be continued to our next meeting.
That is accurate. We anticipated we were going to be able to bite off more than we can chew, so we did not finish those, but we will have those on your February 17th meeting.
Okay, Commissioner Nash.
I move that we approve the consent agenda, except for the approval of the minutes, which need to be continued to presumably the next Planning Commission meeting.
So an motion for an approval of item D1, which is the AB 361, the teleconference, reauthorizing that, and then a continuance of D2 and D3 to our February 17th meeting. Do I get that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and Vice Chair Rejo.
I second, Chair.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Madam Secretary, yeah, I think we can do a roll call. Can we get a roll call on that, please?
Commissioner Nash,
Aye.
Vice Chair Owejo,
Aye.
Commissioner Connolly,
Aye.
Commissioner Dr. Lopez,
Aye.
Commissioner Meyer,
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez,
Yes.
Chair Chavez.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. So that would complete that consent agenda. As we enter into the last few seconds for public comments on items not on the agenda, I just wanted to make note that Metrolink is also joining with Santa Barbara CTA, San Bernardino CTA, free rides on all Metro lines tomorrow for Transit Equity Day, and as well as the celebration of Rosa Parks' birthday, which is tomorrow, February 4th. If you have the opportunity, jump aboard a Metrolink train for free and explore Southern California and all 5 counties that are part of that system. So please share that with everyone. And then I'll also send out an email, I'll send it some information to our commission secretary, and she can distribute the flyer for that tomorrow. Okay. Madam Secretary, any speakers?
No speakers signed up.
Thank you. So we'll move to our next item, which is nominations and elections. Item E1, nomination and election of the Planning Commission Chair and Vice Chair to serve for calendar year 2022. This is continued from our last meeting. It was outlined by Mr. Kolwitz that that nominations for the chair will go first. Chair's nominations, and as well as for the vice chair. It's a nomination followed by a second, and we take as many nominations as there is. Once that is completed, the nomination period will close, and then we will take the vote in the order that they were received. Upon the completion of the chairs, the new chair will then conduct the vice chair's nomination period. So at this time, I will open the nominations for the position of chair. Commissioner Nash.
Thank you, Chair Chavez. And I certainly see no reason to upset the apple cart. Things have gone really well this last year. I think Chair Chavez has done an exemplary job. So I am privileged to renominate him for a second term as a chairperson of the Oxnard Planning Commission.
Thank you, Commissioner Nash. Vice Chair Rejo.
Thank you, Chair Chavez. I'm excited to second the nomination of Daniel Chavez Jr. for the position of chair. As chair this past year has been equal parts effective and efficient in the duties of chair. He has continued to elicit both the historical knowledge and variety of experiences from the commission. His membership in other county-related commissions and committees has given us a wider lens in which to analyze the projects that come before us. As someone who has been a member under many chairs in a variety of governmental and non-governmental organizations, he is arguably in the top 5% of chairs that I have been under. He has exuded calm and close votes. He has been able to be critical while still being graceful. He is confident in the process, but open to recommendations. And the most important, in my opinion, is that he has the respect to continue as chair, something that is not easily earned. I strongly encourage my fellow commissioners to vote for Commissioner Daniel Chavez Jr. for Planning Commission Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. You guys got me tearing up over here now. I do appreciate that. Is there any additional nominations for the position of chair? Seeing and hearing none, we will close the nominations for chair. And Madam Secretary, can we have a roll call vote on that single nomination, please?
Commissioner Nash,
Aye.
Vice Chair Wejo,
Aye.
Commissioner Connolly,
Aye.
Commissioner Dr. Lopez,
Absolutely aye.
Commissioner Meyer.
Aye.
Commissioner Sanchez,
Yes.
Chair Chavez,
Aye.
motion passes.
Thank you. And I do appreciate that. And I'm being sincere when I say I'm actually tearing up over here. I do appreciate it. Thank you very much. With that, we'll move to our next one is for our vice chair. We will follow the same process, a nomination followed by a second, and we'll take as many nominations as there are. And it will close and we will take the votes as they came in. So at this time, we will open the nominations. Commissioner Dr. Lopez.
think I'd like to just simply be short, echo the words and sentiments that Commissioner Nash shared about the previous election that we just held for chair. And so with the same graces, respect, and appreciation, I'd like to nominate our current vice chair, Ron Rejo, to continue serving as vice chair if he's willing to do it.
Thank you. Commissioner Connolly.
Second, all day.
Thank you. Are there any additional nominations for the position of vice chair? Commissioner Meyer.
Thank you, Chair Chavez. So is this a time to comment, or is it only a time to nominate? And then if only for nominating, do we have an opportunity to comment before the vote?
I will turn to our staff, Mr. Kolitz or Mr. Rosell.
Based on the process that is laid out, it's the time for nominations, and once the nominations are closed, then it's time for discussion regarding the nominations. Although, as was stated, it is starting with the discussion regarding the first person nominated, and if that person does not receive a majority of the votes, then you would go to the next nominee for that discussion on that individual.
Thank you, Mr. Rosell. So Commissioner Meyer, did you only have comments or did you have a nomination put forth?
No, just comments.
Okay, so let's go ahead. If there's no additional nominations, seeing and hearing none, we will close the nominations. And Commissioner Meyer, would you like to provide your comments?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yeah, I also support the nomination of Mr. Arrejo, and I feel that not having commented on the chair, that you both have done an excellent job. You've exceeded my expectations, and you're both very professional and take it very seriously. And I very much appreciate that. I, for one, have plenty of other responsibilities on my plate, and so I'm not particularly desirous of being this, but I very much appreciate that you both have the will and the capability to do so successfully. So I wholeheartedly support the continuance of our chair and vice chair. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Commissioner Meyer. Commissioner Connolly.
I want to echo what Commissioner Meyer just stated. I feel like we have a good thing going, and I'm glad that you both are willing to accept these volunteer positions going forward. I think you're a great balance of each other, and I'm appreciative for you both every meeting. And so I'm glad that this is how things worked out, and I think it's going to be a great next year. So thank you both.
Thank you, Commissioner Connolly. Commissioner Nash.
Thank you, Chair Chavez. I'm not one who's easily impressed, but I've been very impressed by the work of Vice Chair Arrejo, his ability to delve into these sometimes lengthy and obscure and obtuse agenda documents. It has continually impressed me. So I'm very pleased to have him continue as our Vice Chair.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Well, Vice Chair, everyone else already said everything I was going to say, so I'll just say ditto to everyone. So thank you. Madam Secretary, can we have the roll call on the single nomination, please?
Commissioner Dr. Lopez,
Yes.
Commissioner Connolly,
Yes.
Vice Chair Arrejo,
Aye.
Commissioner Meyer,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Aye.
Commissioner Sanchez,
Yes.
Chair Chavez.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you for that. And congratulations, Vice Chair. And let's have another great year. All right, with that, we'll move to our next item, which is our ex parte declarations for public hearing items. Vice Chair Arrejo.
Thank you, Chair. I will be recusing myself on agenda items G1 and G2 on the agenda as currently distributed due to federal statutes 18 U.S. Code sections 203 and 205. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Connolly.
None. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Dr. Lopez.
None. Thank you.
Commissioner Meyer.
None, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Nash.
None, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Sanchez?
None, thank you.
Thank you, and none from myself. Commissioner Connolly, did you have a question?
I did. I might have misspoke. Are we omitting G1 or G2?
You know what? I need to so Commission, it was brought to my attention that we're actually needing to continue item G1, which is the Kind Lifestyle Advocate Society LLC doing businesses as Advocate Society Commercial Cannabis Retail Special Use Permit. This is 25-516-17. So that one actually needs to be continued to our next meeting on the 17th. So the only item that we're listening to is G2.
So I'm going to omit myself then from, sorry, I was reading and speaking. So we are doing G2 or we are doing G1? One more time.
We are doing G2.
Okay, so I'm gonna omit myself from G2 because I have a financial interest in that location. I can expand more if you guys need it, but
So you're going to recuse yourself from the item.
yes. So in a quick recap, I'm selling a building that's 2 doors down from that, not as an owner, but like in my profession. So my client has a financial interest in what happens there. So I'm just gonna recuse myself.
Okay. So Commission, but before we move to item G2, if I can get a motion for continuance on G1. Commissioner Dr. Lopez,
So moved.
and can I get a second, please? I'll second. Is there any discussion on that motion to continue the item? Madam Secretary, can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Dr. Lopez,
Yes.
Chair Chavez,
Aye.
Vice Chair Ovejo. Vice Chair Ovejo. Oh, I'm sorry, he's recused for item G1 and G2. Commissioner Connolly,
Yes.
Commissioner Meyer,
Yes.
Aye.
Commissioner Nash,
Aye.
Commissioner Sanchez,
Yes,
motion passes.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and move to item G2, and Commissioner Connolly will be recusing herself. As already stated, there is an interest in that property. So we'll go ahead and read the item into the record. Project name is Haven Number 8 LLC, doing business as Haven Commercial Cannabis Retail Special Use Permit, Planning and Zoning Permit number 21-516-21. This is located at 220 South A Street. A request to permit the operation of a commercial cannabis retail facility within an existing 3,370 square foot commercial building on a 0.16 acre site within the downtown core zone. Proposed development includes tenant improvement, installation of an interior wall, partitioning, plumbing, upgrades to an existing fire alarm system, security upgrades to the existing building, and installation of a new secure doors and windows, and parking lot improvements. Cannabis retail operations will be conducted between the hours from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. daily. This is filed by Joe Velasquez. Our city staff person is Jose Coyle, associate planner. The recommendation to the Planning Commission is to find the project to be categorically exempt from environmental review pursuant to CEQA guidelines, section 15301, existing facilities. Adopt a resolution 2022-XX approving planning and zoning permit number 21-516-21 special use permit cannabis retail, subject to certain findings and conditions. As a reminder to the public and my colleagues, a pre-recorded presentation is available on the city's YouTube channel per Measure M. We'll now turn to our city staff for any additional information to bring forward.
Good evening, Planning Commission Chair. Staff does not have any further comments on this item.
Thank you. Do we have the applicant, and do they plan on giving a presentation this evening?
Chair Chavez, yes, the applicant has submitted an application, a presentation, excuse me, and they are available to go ahead and host that presentation.
Commissioners, if there's no objection, we'll listen to the applicant's presentation and then move open to questions. I see and hear no objections to that. So applicant team, you may proceed, or I think we have the wrong presentation up.
I'm not sure based on this first slide whether or not it's the wrong one.
That was staff's presentation, so we're switching it out to the applicant's presentation. Thank you.
In the meantime, you can introduce the team that's with you this evening, and then once your presentation comes up, you can proceed. Thank you.
Mark, do you want to go ahead and do quicker introductions of the team?
Absolutely. Hi, I'm Mark Simonian. I'm Haven's COO. On as well, we have Johnny Hernandez, Haven's Chief Brand Officer, Joe Velasquez, Haven's Community and Business Development, Mike Kucha, Haven's Community and also in the Community and Business Development area, Natalia Lepaski of the John Cataldo Architects, also our project manager, as well as Courtney Karen, our compliance counsel.
This one looks like the right one.
Yep. Whenever you're ready, just say next slide and then staff will advance the slides.
Awesome. Okay. Next slide, please. Good evening. I'm Mark Simonian, owner and COO of Haven Oxnard, with the proposed location at 220 South A Street, located in downtown core zone district. Haven specializes in cannabis retail, and the brand currently operates 7 successful retail locations in California, with 8 new stores opening in 2022 to 2023. Haven sets itself apart from other applicants as our ownership team plays an active role in the day-to-day operations of our business. We see ourselves as an important member of the community and strive to be regarded as a resource for holistic health, opportunity, and support. Next slide, please. Let's discuss our owners, qualifications, experience, and cannabis industry knowledge. Our owners have 14 collective years of experience owning, operating, and managing legally permitted cannabis retail businesses. Michael began his cannabis career in 2014 as a founding partner of Showgrow, an award-winning Southern California cannabis retailer. After leaving Showgrow, Michael founded Haven. Michael's hands-on involvement in the day-to-day duties include working collaboratively with governmental agencies, developing and implementing Haven's advanced employee training program and continuing education plan, maintaining vendor relations, and overseeing the build-out of each location, all licensing, and the implementation of our community benefits plan. I hold a BS and an MS in electrical engineering from UC Davis, and after 7 years at Intel, I joined Showgrow as their Chief Technology Officer. Today, I oversee 200 employees and the operations of all Haven locations. My involvement in the day-to-day operations include drafting and implementing all of Haven's standard operating procedures, which cover safety, security, inventory control, waste and odor control, and cash management, and oversee the implementation of Haven's customer education and the community relations plan. Most notably, under my leadership, Haven has achieved 100% fully compliant, citation-free retail operations to date as a result of our team's dedication to adhering to local and state regulations. In a moment, I will introduce our Chief Brand Officer, Johnny Hernandez, who will address our security and community benefits plan. Next slide, please. Let's discuss our location. Haven has entered into a purchase sale agreement for the 3,370 square foot property located at 220 South A Street. The property is appropriately located within the downtown core zoning district. Our private parking lot will provide 4 spaces, including 1 handicap accessible parking space and 3 standard parking spaces. We'll also be providing 5 bicycle friendly spaces. We're only a 7-minute walk from the Oxnard Transit Center, and the fire and police department are within 2 blocks. We've reached out to numerous of our neighboring businesses, including to Gary Blum at Heritage Square Oxnard, A Burger, and Lux Aesthetic Surgery and Medical Spa, among several others, all of which were welcoming and interested in having us as part of their community. Next slide, please. Haven complies with all city and state codes. There are no sensitive uses, K through 12 schools, commercial daycare centers, or youth centers close to the property. In fact, the nearest sensitive use is over 860 feet away. As you can see in the chart, we are in compliance with Oxnard City Code and are not located within 600 feet of any sensitive uses. Next slide, please. Regardless of not being located within 600 feet of the defined sensitive uses, we are aware that we are in close proximity to the local library, and we want to take a proactive approach to any concerns that may arise due to that proximity. We have noticed that the entrance that is closest to the front of our building is rarely used by pedestrians, and that most visitors enter the library through the entrance adjacent to the library parking lot. To further minimize any indication of the business type and to be less of a distraction to the families visiting the library, we'll have on-site security dressed in Haven uniforms, and when possible, have guests enter through the rear. The exterior of each and every Haven location is similar to that of a high-end boutique and is intentionally made to be non-attractive to minors. Additionally, you will not see any green crosses, any cannabis leaves, or any cannabis anything, any signage, etc., on the exterior of our property. As well, we have already reached out to Terrell Harrison, the Director of Cultural and Community Services Department over at the library. We have made that connection to ensure that we have a direct line of communication with them to ensure that if there are any issues, we can address them immediately. And that as part of their community events, we can help provide fundraising and volunteers to support their activities. I would now like to pass it over to our Chief Brand Officer, Johnny Hernandez, to address our security and community benefits plan. Next slide, please.
Thanks, Mark. Hi, I'm Johnny Hernandez, and I serve as the Chief Brand Officer to Haven. I'm a seasoned senior executive who's focused my career on employee development, operational design, retail execution, and implementing cultural change. I spent 28 years with Best Buy in a variety of executive positions, including most recently overseeing retail operations for all U.S. locations prior to founding Living with Purpose, which led me to ShowGrow, where I met Michael and Mark. At the same time, I joined Harvest Health and Recreation as Vice President of Mergers, Acquisitions, and Integration, ultimately coming back to Haven full-time. Our security plan was prepared by professional security consultant Terry Blevins, a qualified security expert with over 30 years of law enforcement and private industry experience. The comprehensive plan covers security personnel and guard services, video camera surveillance systems, intrusion detection and alarm system, cash handling and transportation plan, inventory control and product security, ingress and egress access control, and extensive employee training. Our alarm system will be monitored and maintained by AA Security Systems, a licensed security monitoring company who monitors our existing operating stores. Next slide, please. Haven is passionate about giving back to the community through Haven Hearts, our community benefits program, and does so on a regular basis in all of the communities that we serve. For the city of Oxnard, we are committing a minimum of $250,000 to the Oxnard Cannabis Community Reinvestment Fund. We're also giving 1% of gross receipts to fund nonprofits, as well as an additional 1% of gross profits to fund gross receipts to fund our Haven Community Benefits Plan. The drafting of our community benefits plan took into consideration major priorities addressed by the city, which we were thoughtfully incorporating. Our outreach efforts include to provide meaningful employment opportunities with best-in-class health and wealth benefits programs, contributing volunteer hours, including paid hours for employees, operating donation drives throughout the year, supporting city programs and city improvements, and ultimately making financial donations. Next slide, please. Here you can see a community calendar that was specifically crafted for the city of Oxnard and focus on assisting nonprofits in the local community. We commit to working hand in hand with the city and our neighbors to tailor our community benefits plan to the areas that need the most attention. Haven is a proud and active member in all of the communities that we currently operate and are confident that we will make an immediate impact in the sustainability and betterment of the city of Oxnard. Next slide, please. We have currently contributed to the following nonprofit organizations: the Lighthouse for Women and Children, Oxnard Downtowners, and the Ventura County Rescue Mission. Haven Hearts is the charitable arm of Haven Dispensaries, whose sole focus is to make an impact in the communities which we serve. Whether through monetary donations or volunteer efforts, Haven Hearts makes it our mission to constantly be involved in our communities by listening to our neighbors, identifying the areas that need the most assistance, and coming up with creative ways to make a difference. Whether it be through regular street cleanups, our annual Thanksgiving turkey giveaway, or consistent donation efforts, Haven Hearts is ready to be part of the city of Oxnard, and as you can see, has already started to make our mark. Next slide, please. Haven will hire 100% local residents to fill each of our 25 jobs, including management. Our entry-level hourly wage will be beyond the identified living wage. Wages increase accordingly for management positions and as employees receive promotions throughout their employment with Haven. Haven's also committed to continuous career training for our employees. Some of the highlights of being a Haven employee include tuition reimbursement, scholarships for continuing education, management shadow training, and continuing ed opportunities through Haven University. Haven University is designed as a platform for continuing education for our leaders and our line level team members, focusing on areas such as Haven culture, diversity and inclusion, leadership development and performance management to compliance, brand, category, and sales training. And all of these programs are designed to create and foster an exceptional guest and employee experience, all while preparing our employees for career advancement within Haven and beyond. We offer a full benefits package, including health, dental, vision, and life insurance, family benefits like maternity, paternity leave, pet insurance, family-friendly shifts, generous paid holidays, and cell phone reimbursement for store leaders. Financial incentives like 401k plans, a generous employee discount, bonuses, and even a green community incentive. Next slide, please. We're thrilled to be part of the Oxnard community and contribute to the economic success of the city. From 100% local hiring to providing community benefits, Haven is here to support Oxnard's cannabis program. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Commissioners, what I would like to do, and if there's no objection, open the public hearing. We didn't have anyone sign up, but open the public hearing just to see if there's any additional comments and then move into questioning and commissioner comments. Is there any objection to doing so? I see and hear none. So we'll open the public hearing portion, public comments for this item. And Madam Secretary, just to confirm, we did not have anyone sign up, correct?
We don't have anybody signed up for this item.
Thank you. So we'll go ahead and do AB 361, have it time for 3 minutes. And if staff had any additional comments, this would be that time. And then I guess we can just go ahead and start going into questions from the commission.
Hello. Hello, Chair Chavez. Staff does not have any further comments and no other correspondence was received on this item.
Okay. Commissioners, do we have any questions for the applicant team or staff? Commissioner Meyer.
Thank you, Chair Chavez. A question for the applicant team. Do you have any relationship with any union? And this is something that you've considered. For reference, the majority of the applicants that we've received and have come before us have a relationship with a union, an LPA. So wanted to know where you guys stood, because that's kind of one of those things that can be a difference maker when you have potentially 16 dispensaries in Oxnard, potentially 12 coming in total in Port Hueneme, you know, and people deciding where should I go, where should I invest my dollars?
That's a good question, Commissioner Meyer. Thank you. Yes, actually, in fact, we have an LPA with the UFCW in Oxnard, as well as actually all of our other shops. All of our other shops are Teamsters.
Oh, that's great to know. I might suggest going forward that you might include that in your presentation.
Okay. Good feedback.
And the
Thank
employment. Yeah, but it's great to know that you have the 100% local hire focus. I think that also sets you apart somewhat.
Thank you.
Any additional questions, Commissioner Meyer? Okay, Commissioner Nash.
Thank you, Chair Chavez, and this is for the applicant, and sort of for my own education. Since we are seeing the development of our own sort of green mile on this section of 8th Street, have your other locations experienced a similar density of dispensaries, and how have you successfully dealt with that? And this is just for my own education, really, because I'm a little bit concerned about the densification of marijuana dispensaries in this little 1 or 2 block section of 8th Street.
I can
Absolutely.
take, you want to go and
Go ahead,
take that
Johnny.
one, Mark?
So we've worked in multiple jurisdictions in multiple cities where the densities are different. Obviously, where the density is less, generally you have more business going to that one location. But we work in very dense areas like in Long Beach, where a couple of our stores have probably six competitors within a mile. So we work really effectively in those areas. Obviously, we have really amazing programs that we give to our customers and patients to encourage them to, visit us. And we've done very well, and we've been competitive in each one of those markets.
Okay, thank you for that response. That's all, Chair Chavez.
Thank you. Before we move to Commissioner Sanchez, Madam Secretary, do we have any additional speakers?
No, we don't.
Thank you. Commissioner Sanchez.
But the hand's not raised.
Yes,
sorry.
So, Chair, there is a phone number on the call, but their hand's not raised, so not sure if they're wanting to speak on this item.
Can you provide them with the prompt if they, was it *9 to raise hand? I believe it's *9. Caller ending in 9442. If you wish to speak on this item, *9 to raise. And I do see the hand up.
Okay.
Commissioner Sanchez, let's take the public comment and then we'll go to you.
Hello.
Yes, hi, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. This is Deirdre Frank. I'm calling about this item because no one has talked about the potential homeless navigation center at B and 2nd Street. I think that's a huge, huge issue. You have a problem with the parking structure at 4th and B. That's less than 2 blocks away. You've got other marijuana dispensaries, cannabis dispensaries going in the neighborhood. Talk about a saturation with problem social issues in that quadrant of downtown. It's becoming obvious that the people who are from out of town come in and just think because they've had successes in other cities that they can come in here and adapt those successes to our town. Our downtown is very small. And so I'm concerned about the library. And I just don't understand how you can just barricade that off or just divert traffic from there. You all know you have a huge homeless population there, so as well as City Hall. And so I think this needs a lot more discussion. I haven't heard anything about security beyond the operating hours. Down here in the Shores, thank you for rejecting the cannabis dispensary in the Shores. But if it's going to be like it is was proposed at the Shores, they're just going to have monitored cameras for a situation that has a lot of criminal activity, a lot of homeless activity. So I think it needs a little bit more discussion, particularly about that navigation center proposed at 2nd and B Street. All right, thank you so much for all your efforts. Bye.
Thank you, Ms. Frank, for your comments. I do see that there was another caller that jumped on ending in 0517. If you wish to speak on this item, press *9. No response on that. So we'll go ahead and close the public comments for this item. Commissioner Sanchez.
Thank you, Chair Chavez. Just my question has to do very similar to Commissioner Nash. We want to see any cannabis that's going to be in Oxnard. Obviously we want everybody to succeed, but it's competition. So, what sort of strategies do you have to make yourself successful? You can use, probably examples for other businesses that you've been involved with. What's your strategy for success, basically?
I'd be happy to take that, Commissioner Sanchez. We've been very fortunate, operated in, an industrial area in Santa Ana, we're San Bernardino, East Los Angeles, Maywood area, which is, a city of 3 square miles there in Maywood. It's an incredibly diverse area, primarily Latino. And then, of course, we have a number of stores in the Long Beach area, from areas such as Los Alamitos, considered a really nice neighborhood in Long Beach, all the way to, we actually have a store in downtown Long Beach where the riots took place. And we were very fortunate from that standpoint that, I think we did enough preventive maintenance in terms of coverage and presence in the area that we didn't have any damage at our facility at all, which is has a very large storefront when just about almost everyone else around us did. So I think in that case, and even addressing what the caller stated, we have 24/7 security, and when necessary, when we have any type of, promotional days, like April 20th is a big day in the cannabis. It's like Black Friday in typical retail, where we bring in additional security and so forth. But Haven's unique from the standpoint. I know I mentioned, actually, I'd worked for Best Buy for 28 years. Ironically, actually, I opened the Oxnard Best Buy when we opened it many, many years ago. And I have to admit, it was a large district I had, but Oxnard was actually one of our top performing stores. So we're always proud of that shop. But that being said, our stores are, I think Mark mentioned it earlier, we're almost like a boutique. So a large percentage of our client base, customer base, is seniors and mothers, soccer moms, middle-aged and older adults. Yes, we get, your 20-somethings, your 30-somethings, but we don't market towards, what you would say is let's just say the rougher crowd. We market towards just a well-established and typically a higher average income. And we figure if we do that well, everyone's welcome. But when you come into our store, there's a not just a visible difference, but just the energy within that store is visible. I'd also go back, Commissioner Sanchez, in our downtown market, we talked about that being in a rougher area. We talk about the homeless issue. We actually go out, we put care packages together as part of Haven Hearts, and on a somewhat regular basis, put together hygiene backpacks. We fundraise, we pack them, and we actually go out and distribute them to the homeless. We even, in some cases, when there's neighborhood cleanup, we have some of the folks that are very, very local that don't leave that area, that we even compensate to help clean up the parking lots and areas for some of the homeless. So we'd like to believe that we make a difference. And although we can't influence and change what all of our other shops do, we're also part in Long Beach, which is the Long Beach Cannabis Association, which is it's a subgroup of the 32 stores that are in Long Beach. So if you want to talk about density of population, that was mentioned earlier. That's a lot of dispensaries in the city, although Long Beach is, as we all know, is a much larger town than Oxnard. But we try to work with other dispensaries, because if other dispensaries are doing things that are inappropriate or frowned upon, it's like anything, it reflects on all of us. So we kind of have just it's kind of like an unspoken rule that it's important that we all behave well for the benefit of all of us that are involved. So I hope that answers your question a little bit more, Commissioner.
Yes, yes, very much so. And we hope that you will be very successful. And because, all this will be win-win for everybody, hopefully.
Thank you. Thank you.
Commissioner Dr. Lopez.
Chair Chavez, actually, before we take any additional questions, the number that called in, they did raise their hand right after we announced that we were closing the public comment period. So staff recommends that we actually call on that individual now to provide public comment.
Okay, let's go ahead and do that then. And then afterwards, Commissioner Dr. Lopez will go to you.
Thank you.
Hello, can everybody hear me?
Yes, you have 3 minutes.
Yes, thank you so much. I'll make it quick. My name is Arthur Rain. I'm an attorney for one of the retail businesses that applied for a retail license last year. My concern here, I don't know if it's already been addressed or been spoken to, is the parking. What is Haven, or what do the operators plan to do about the parking requirements that are set forth in the cannabis code, and how are they going to address that with street parking as well as the additional other retail businesses that are going to be in the area, and how we can essentially address the minimum parking requirements that the city set forth, and yeah, how are they going to work with the in lieu fee program? What are the details of that? How is that all going to play out and work? So those are my questions. I just want to be very clear. This is maybe the second meeting I've been a part of, but maybe the third, fourth, or fifth time I've brought this subject to the city manager's attention, I think the city attorney's attention, the planning commission's attention, Mr. Cleoto's attention as well. So I just wanted to get an answer and see exactly, what these deadlines that were set forth, especially March 1st looming, what exactly is going to happen come March 1st, and like I said, what is the city and these operators plan to do about these minimum parking requirements? Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Mr. Kowitz or Mr. Coyle, did you want to respond to that?
Chair Chavez, I'm happy to jump into that. So the parking requirements that we have for our cannabis operations are set in the cannabis regulations, which is essentially 1 parking space is needed for every 250 square feet, gross square feet. Projects that happen to be in downtown can benefit from the vast amount of public parking that we have, and essentially buying into those spaces. So the downtown code, as adopted by the city council, clearly outlines that a parking in lieu fee is an option for individuals. And this is an applicant that has some parking on the back of their property, but can also utilize the in lieu fee property. If we kind of zoom out for just a little bit and think about downtown, directly to the south of this property is a public lot. Directly to the west of this site is City Hall, which is another parking lot, a public parking lot. And if we kind of zoomed out even a little bit more, we would see the vast number of public parking spaces that are provided downtown. So succinctly put, our regulations today allow for properties in downtown, the downtown core in particular, really do benefit from that program. So I'll leave it that succinctly at this point in time. And Mr. Rosell, anything else that you wanted to add?
Yes, briefly, I wanted to address the deadline. And just for the record, this is not before the Planning Commission, but I think it's important just to give an explanation of the process. The letters that were issued by the city manager on March 1st of last year indicated that the applicants had 12 months in which to obtain an SUP. At this point in time, as of the snapshot in time, 11 SUPs have been granted by the Planning Commission or the City Council. One, as you know, for TD Enterprise was denied based on a 3-3 vote to approve and to deny. That's going to be heard by the City Council on February 15th. We also expect that the balance of the dispensaries which applied will have their hearing for February 17th. So at this point in time, we believe that action will be taken on all of the dispensaries by the March 1st deadline. But we will see how the process goes forward. And once we pass the 12-month period, then the city attorney's office, in conjunction with the city manager's office, will make the determination going forward.
Thank you, Mr. Rosell. Commissioner Dr. Lopez.
Thank you. And right now, just questions to try and understand better. First of all, to the applicant team, thank you so much for expressing an interest in growing your business and bringing it here to Oxnard. With this particular location on A Street, I think the public comment brought up some valid points that I'll save for when we get to deliberations. But I was wondering, what was it about this location, and more specifically the downtown corridor, that attracted you to grow your business here in Oxnard, but more specifically downtown and at that location on A Street?
So I can talk a little bit to this, and Johnny or Joe, feel free to elaborate. But we really found something that we thought was a really beautiful standalone building. That's kind of very hard to get. Not to mention, cannabis retail space in general is not that abundant, not as abundant as you'd think. So finding specific property in specific areas takes a lot of work, and this was the one that we found that our property team really liked the best in terms of location, how close it was, and how far away it was from all sensitive uses, as well as great square footage, enough area to have a really extensive retail sales floor, as well as having enough back office room to have a big break room for employees and all the other inventory spaces and other auxiliary spaces that you need to be able to run one of these businesses. It's also located really close to the fire and police stations, which are always a big plus for us. And it's just in a really pretty area. Generally, we like to be in nice areas. It really adds to the aesthetic that we bring to the community.
Great, thank you.
Thank you for your questions, Commissioner Dr. Lopez. Commissioner Meyer.
Thank you, Chair. For the applicant, in response to the commenter who was concerned about the location, concerned about homeless frequenting the area, and concerns about security around that, could you elaborate on, or could provide a response to that? Because it's not an uncommon concern. I'm sure you've heard it at probably every single one of your other sites. And we hear it, periodically. And I think there's, maybe you can shed some more light on the reality of what happens in and around your locations when they establish themselves.
Yes, no, absolutely. You want to go, Johnny?
You go ahead, you start.
So we have extensive security hardware in terms of security cameras, as well as all types of motion sensors. We have emergency panic buttons that are at every point of sale, as well as at the front desk and on every security officer as well. So obviously the security hardware is one. Second is our security personnel. We have 24/7 on-site armed security guards that provide a presence in and around the facility as well as inside of it. One of the biggest things that we found is just the presence, and all of the security features that we have provides a pretty robust amount of deterrence to anybody that might be trying to loiter around the property or anything else. We have security doors that are magnetically locked and allow entry only allowed to accessible people, as well as security doors that are only allowed to be opened by certain employees. So we have inventory personnel versus sales personnel. Inventory personnel are allowed to go into places in our inventory rooms that sales personnel are not allowed to go into. So we even have security, sectioned off in that way. All of these systems are monitored remotely. So we have a third-party remote monitoring company, JAWS Security, that we actually employ to watch each and every one of our security of our stores remotely, in addition to the 24/7 on-site security. So they are communicating with them nonstop through our instant messaging, our company instant messaging system, as well as they have phone numbers, for any kind of immediate thing. We also, they can notify the police if there's anything that, that they see that, the guard on site is not seeing. And then in terms of, homeless in the area, generally we do a very good job of making sure there's no loitering, whether that's customers, or anybody else, including the homeless. So we generally keep the premises free and clear of anybody that's kind of that would seem to be hanging out. We have a pretty bad homeless problem in our downtown Long Beach location. And we utilize a lot of different training, not only for our security guards, but also for our employees to ensure that they understand how to, appropriately deal with anybody as they approach the facility or while they're in the facility. That's one of the biggest things for us, is actually the training, is making sure that each and every one of our employees is trained on security policies and practices, fire prevention, safety and security, all those things, to ensure that we have multiple layers of security in the facility, and that everybody's actively keeping an eye out and actively aware of their surroundings, and being aware for any kind of diversion or any theft or anything that might be possibly an unsafe situation.
Great, thank you. Was there anything else that any of the other of your fellow representatives wanted to add?
I think I did it. Yes, I did an okay job.
Well,
In their eyes.
Thank you. Another question, I guess, in relation to that, because some comments suggest that there's a correlation between, say, oh, if you have a dispensary that's in an area where there are homeless people, then that's going to exacerbate an existing situation and make it worse. And the suggestion is that having a cannabis dispensary there will be an attractive nuisance to homeless people, or will lead homeless people to have easier access to cannabis somehow. And so I'm trying to understand the underlying concerns of our, of some of our residents, and try to have an on the ground reality check so that we can all understand what actually happens in relation to these kinds of situations.
And Commissioner Meyer, if I could, because this one's actually kind of close to my heart, because we deal with a lot of our cities with homeless. I know Mark mentioned the location downtown, and it really comes down to, I call it a culture of caring. So I would address the first part by saying it's actually the opposite. So we dealt with this in Los Alamitos, very nice neighborhood. They had we hear the same exact concerns in every community. And what ended up happening is, with the presence of literally consistent guard company, consistent guards, they become familiar with the customers and anyone else in the area. And as Mark mentioned earlier, with such strict limited access, when you can't get access unless you have all the appropriate credentials and you can actually afford to pay for the cannabis, with along about the 30% tax rate, right? So these dispensaries, these licensed dispensaries, are not a desirable place for the homeless to even attempt to enter. And the other part is, anyone, whether you're homeless or not, if you want to cause trouble or hang out, you're typically not going to do it where there's 24/7 security, all sorts of cameras, guards, et cetera, et cetera. It's just, we've actually had the opposite effect. In Los Alamitos, once we got approvals, we attended several community meetings to address this concern and other concerns about cannabis in their community. And I'm proud to say that as we've evolved, Los Alamitos recently held us, as in other conversations, as a vision of good, is to actually how you come into community cannabis or non-cannabis, and actually add value, increase values due to the not just the physical presence and the attractive look of our stores, but how you actually come in and then help the homeless and find ways to make the problem as good as you possibly can, ultimately better than it was when we came in. So those concerns, we hear them frequently, and I can assure you around our shop, which you will see, as they don't attract homeless at all, because not only the homeless can't go in the dispensary, with all of the security, we don't allow people to gather outside our front doors, because we can't have an intimidating environment in the front doors or the back doors, because that's a deterrent to our paying customers, and that's how we stay in business. So I'm thrilled to say that I can't wait till we open and have you come by and and interact a little bit to actually just see it firsthand, because it's a pleasant surprise to all of the local residents once we get up and going.
Some residents may be concerned that the presence of cannabis just in general in the area might lead people to like rummage through trash or something like of that sort. But all of our trash enclosures are completely locked. All of our cannabis waste actually goes out through a cannabis waste company. It's rendered unusable even before that. We like mix it up with coffee grounds and put like dyes and all kinds of stuff in there. And then a third party cannabis waste company actually comes and takes it. So in terms of like trying to rummage through trash to find something, that's not even a possibility at any one of our locations.
Thank you both very much.
Commissioner Nash.
Thank you, Chair Chavez. I have some questions for both staff and the applicant. First, for staff, Mr. Kolwitz, what is the status of the parking lot between the 3rd Street Bridge and this office complex? I know at one time there was some talk of opening it up as a throughway between the Boulevard and A Street.
Commissioner Nash, that has not been a conversation that I've been involved with in the 2.5 years that I've been at the city of Oxnard. So I don't think that's on the books at this point in time.
Okay, thank you. Now, also, either Mr. Coyle or Mr. Kolwitz can take this one. In reading the report, the staff report, neither the police department nor the, I assume it's the housing authority that will run the navigation center, raised any issues or red flags about these dispensaries on A Street. So we kind of have to rely upon their expertise in dealing with approving the permits for these dispensaries. Now we can speculate that there might be a problem with a navigation center, or even with the library. But if the departments don't raise the issue, it's kind of hard for the planning commission. And I'm trying to put this in a question, but during the staff level discussions, Mr. Coyle, the concerns were not raised by the police department or the housing authority.
Yes, Commissioner Nash. There was sort of compatibility issues as far as what's existing, but not what's being proposed. However, I know that Scott Swenson with the police department recently did a security overview again of the site and how it will function for criminal activity and that sort of thing. So I'm not sure if Mr. Swenson has additional comments to share with the commission about this issue.
Is he present here tonight?
Yes, I am.
And do you have any additional concerns that you might present to us?
No, not concerning the cannabis outlets. First of all, the price point is an issue. In good many of our alcohol outlets, we basically control the interest of the homeless population by not allowing low price alcoholic beverages, so that we discourage intoxicated behavior. I don't see it as being a place that our homeless population is going to flock to, because merely out of price point, there's not a reason to loiter. And if they do, they're going to meet a nice security officer who's going to move them down the road. So I don't have a concern about homeless being a problem at a cannabis outlet on A Street.
Okay, thank you for that. And I think it's very important for the planning commissioners to realize that there is a robust black market that undercuts the price of the legal dispensaries, and that is the supplier of choice for homeless or people without the money to actually patronize the legal dispensaries. That is kind of, we're dealing with a situation here where we have to get up to 60, from 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, basically, having, so many, dispensaries come before the planning commission. And it hasn't given us the time to learn from our experiences. And so it's difficult because we're faced with having to deal with a lot of speculation. And so we do have to rely upon our staff and department heads to give us the background information to make informed decisions. So I thank you for your comments here tonight. Now for the
Chair Nash, if I could, this is Scott Kolwitz. I wanted to jump in here for just a quick second on the second half of your question. You asked about how does the navigation center relate to this project and vice versa. Wanted to take a moment to remind the Planning Commission that the navigation center, it's not a drop-in facility. It's an appointment-based facility. It's also a facility that has case management to work with our population, which is in transition. And in addition to that, the Navigation Center has its own security that's to be out and about in the community. So as we think about not only the Navigation Center, but the other cannabis retail outlets on A Street, there's actually going to be quite an influx of on-the-ground security personnel. So just for overall context, staff wanted to remind us all collectively about that happening.
Okay, great. And I thank you very much for those comments, because, we're trying to figure out on the go, how all of these pieces are going to fit together. So I think some important points have been made here tonight. This is for the applicant. The three big issues that the Planning Commission has to deal with are homeless, parking, and children. and we are very concerned about all three of those. So has your team discussed the possibility of supporting programs at both the library and I think it's been raised tonight that the Navigation Center is a very important facility that we do not want to jeopardize by unintended consequences of having so many dispensaries, really within a hop, skip, and a jump. So, while we support, beach cleanups and other feel-good products, I think maybe if your team can investigate a deeper dive in how you might support, especially these two locations, the library and the Navigation Center. So the question being, has your team had any discussions on how you might accomplish that?
Absolutely. Yeah, we have actually reached out to the library and talked to them a little bit about some different events and activities that we can participate in, mainly evolved around volunteering, as we provide paid volunteer hours for all of our employees. So volunteering is part of it, and in-kind donations, as well as supporting different type of donation drives. If you want a little bit more specifics, I think Mike might be able to provide a little bit more specifics on what he talked about with them.
Yeah, I'd love to weigh in here a little bit. Thank you for the question, Commissioner. We've already been involved to an extent with the Lighthouse for Women and Children. So we made some donations to them, and we plan on doing some volunteer efforts with them here in the future as we move into the city of Oxnard. I've had some discussions with the library recently. Terrell Harrison, who's the Director of Cultural and Community Service Department with the library and a number of other organizations within your city, and I have been in discussions on how we can get involved with the programs that he's run. We've had some discussions on how we can partner with, I know he's on a board member of California PAL, which is the Police Activities League. And that is something that we're really, really interested in getting involved in. I've also spoken with Dina Gold, who's a librarian at the main library there. She works with the Literacy Outreach Program. And these are all things that are near and dear to our hearts. So we have a few core values here at Haven that we like to touch on from a community level. Helping out children is really one. As Mark touched on, we do a lot of community toy drives around the Christmas time where we buy presents for kids. We've, as a team, actually fundraised over $40,000 in the last few months in our communities that we currently operate in. And we plan on bringing the same vigor to the city of Oxnard. So we've already begun our outreach. Haven Hearts, like Johnny mentioned in the presentation, is our charitable arm. And its sole focus is to affect these areas of need, such as the homeless and underserved youth in our areas. So not only have we done a lot of really good things in the communities that we're already a part of, but we plan on expanding that within the city of Oxnard. And as you can see, we've already done some pretty decent outreach to hopefully begin to make our mark even before our doors are even open. And we've made our first dollar. So really, really important to us. And this team focuses on that directly.
Mike, I think that's really well said. Commissioner Nash, the other two things I would like to add is we don't want to pretend that we're smarter than anyone on this call, because none of the handful of folks on here have a home anywhere near downtown Oxnard. What I would submit, though, is if someone would be kind enough to connect us with the appropriate parties, we would be more than happy, and it would only be logical for us to determine, if and how this particular program or this group or this establishment, this new service, how they could benefit from our fundraising as well. I know Mike mentioned, when he says the last few months, actually that's somewhat accurate. The $40,000 we raised for the homeless, the toy drives, and the Thanksgiving meals were all in a period of 8 weeks. So we've got the ability we're fortunate to be an ability to do fundraising, but we want to do it in a way that's meaningful to the city of Oxnard. There's a lot of people that get on these calls and say, we've done all of these things, and they're doing the best to build relationships prior to even coming into the city. But I think this is a really good example where you're saying there's a real need to possibly work with a group that's going to be right across the street or kitty corner from you. What are you going to do about that? And I would say if someone would connect us, we'd be more than willing to see whatever we possibly can do to make that successful, on top of the relationships that we've already begun with Terrell and the library and that group.
And I thank you for those comments. And, I just want to reiterate that even though they're not technically sensitive receptors, we do feel like the library and the navigation center should be included as such. So those are my comments, Chair Chavez. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Nash. Is there any additional questions or comments from the commission?
Are we going to have an opportunity to comment during deliberation, or did we collapse them? Is this the only time?
Collapse them.
Okay. I guess I'll just go ahead and add to what's already been said. I think oftentimes, and thank you, Mr. Hernandez, for that, on the fly assessment and your willingness to be that good neighbor and partner to address the most immediate or nearest challenges, within the city. I think just general comments. I see what you say, that your business is more like a boutique, high-end boutique. It doesn't necessarily attract, nor would you think that that's the type of business that will be happening inside if you didn't know that that's what you were going for. I think echo the concerns of folks, those concerns that are valid. I think sometimes there's a reach of misinformation that is thrown in there, but in terms of the navigation center, which is literally going to be around the corner from you all, the city made a commitment with the county to bring this new homeless navigation center to our city, and more specifically to our downtown, right around the corner from where the proposed location is here tonight. And so being a part of I don't want to say the word the solution, but being a part of addressing one of our persistent and ongoing challenges, I very much appreciate that forthcomingness and that attitude from you all. I think last week there was 2 applicants that we approved also on A Street. This being the third, I'll say that some of my concerns have been addressed or have made me change my position with what you all have offered today. And so, knowing that Homeless Navigation Center is important to the city as an organization, to the residents, and what you all have, the steps you all have taken to reach out to city leadership, speak with Director Harrison and others. I'll say that I am in a place in a more supportive place than I was prior to our presentation and our meeting tonight. I really do appreciate your guys' directness, forthcomingness, your frankness, and your willingness to be a partner with the city and other folks who are looking to address these issues and challenges. I hope, if successful tonight, you all, do follow through on your offer and your commitment to reach out, because I do see this getting to a place, where everyone wins and everyone benefits. And so very much appreciate you all, showing interest in growing your business here to the city of Oxnard. And if successful, I hope that you all, are there at the front lines to address not only these immediate challenges, but other challenges that we'll have as a community together. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lopez.
Thank you, Commissioner Dr. Lopez. Commissioner Meyer.
Thank you, Chair Chavez. Yes, so I appreciate the applicants providing thorough responses and answers to the questions, and making genuine efforts to reach out to their local community. I think that's really important. We have a pretty robust application process and a set of requirements and regulations that applicants have to follow. I think it's important to remember that each applicant who's approved has to be renewed annually and will be scrutinized annually for their performance, for the impact that they're having on our community. And so it is obviously incumbent upon them to do well and to present a positive image and to basically show that they are a benefit to our community. So it's quite different, I think, for most businesses that we come in. Once they're approved, there'd have to be significant reasons and violations that would cause them to have their license to do business in the city revoked. And it's not quite that for cannabis businesses. So I'm glad of that. So I hear the concerns. There's interesting concerns that come up. For example, around downtown. One is with parking. And it's a really interesting thing because I know that we did thorough studies of the parking in downtown and found that there's quite an excess of parking at virtually every time of the day in the downtown area. And on the flip side, it's been a source of consternation and focus on how can we possibly drive more traffic into downtown? How can we support people going downtown and supporting our businesses there so that they can have success, so that we can build out the downtown in the ways that we're envisioning? And so it's an interesting thing where we have people talking about the one side and then the other side, and they're saying too much parking, and yes, we need more traffic in downtown. And so I think there's some cognitive dissonance going on around that. The other piece, there's concern about too many competitors in an area. So when I think about it, I think about burger restaurants, and I could think about in North Oxnard, I could picture there's Carl's Jr., there's just up the street, there's In-N-Out. Across the freeway, a half-mile away, there's Five Guys. There's a McDonald's nearby. So there's quite a few within a 1 mile radius that are all competing for burger buyers. And but we never hear the consternation around, we have too many burger joints in a certain area. We have 3 gas stations on the corner of Ventura and Gonzalez. You go down a few blocks more, we have more gas stations. A few blocks more, we have more. And there's no concern about an excessive density of gas stations. So I think for these businesses, they're making a choice. They're understanding where their competitors are going to be located. And perhaps the industry is just lucrative enough that this won't be an issue for any of them. I think in Port Hueneme, it seems like, I guess all 6 of the existing ones are thriving, or some just won't succeed. And that's just the nature of, capitalist enterprise in our country. But that can often lead to better quality and better service for the customer when there's healthy competition. So I'm not concerned about the density. I think the businesses will sort themselves out in accordance in that way. And when people think that usage would not be increased if we didn't have the dispensaries here or the density that we'd have them, I think there's a reality check there as well. When cannabis first started and pretty much everything was in LA, people in Ventura County drove to LA, and that's where they got their cannabis from. When it opened in Port Hueneme, quite a few decided to go to Port Hueneme. And so if Oxnard is not there to open up dispensaries, then people will continue to go to those places. And being a couple miles away is not going to be a deterrent. The only difference, and a significant difference for us residents of Oxnard, is we won't get the tax dollars, which are significant, and we won't get the community benefit dollars, which are significant as well. And we don't get the subsequent benefits of the increased traffic where people dine, shop, etc., when they purchase their cannabis. So with that said, I appreciate this team. I appreciate that you've had several, I guess, 10 other locations that have done well. I think virtually, all of our applicants, and staff can correct me if I'm wrong, have had other successful dispensaries before coming to Oxnard. So that is definitely encouraging in that the business, you've experienced the ups and downs, the challenges, you've identified solutions, you have working models. So with all that said, I feel very comfortable and supportive of this application.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Meyer. Any additional questions or comments from the commission? I'm just going to provide a few, and then if there's nothing further, then we'll take a motion. But, I grew up in South Oxnard. And one of the biggest things that in South Oxnard that people are concerned about is an oversaturation. And in South Oxnard, the oversaturation is alcohol. Practically every corner has a gas station that sells alcohol, a liquor store, a restaurant, or some type of other uses. Although cannabis isn't classified, if I remember correctly, like Commissioner Meyer's comments in previous meetings, that cannabis isn't categorized as an adult use. It was legalized in 2016 for adult use, 21 and over. Just at our last meeting, 2 cannabis locations within 1 minute of this proposed location was approved. The other 2 are literally separated by 2 doors of a building. Yes, this is a standalone building. Yes, you're taking steps into you're not putting a big green plus sign like LA is covered with. But the concerns that I have, and a few of them are already mentioned, and although some people may look at it as, well, why are those even concerns? But everyone's concern matters. The navigation center, the parking, and the library. The parking is an issue for me because just this past Tuesday, the City Council approved to have 6.2 acres of land designated as surplus. And some of that is actually parking spaces in downtown Oxnard. So which means that we're potentially going to be losing parking spaces in downtown Oxnard as a result. It is a concern when this is directly across the street from our main library of the A Street entrance. You're right across the street. The concern with the Navigation Center, and I'll make those same comments that I did at our last meeting, is that the Navigation Center is being looked upon as a model. I don't believe these concerns are unrealistic. I don't believe these concerns are being ridiculous. I don't believe me voicing these concerns makes me against cannabis, because I'm not against cannabis. I look at the fortitude of how the impacts are going to affect long-term. That's the way I look at it. And what are the effects of it? Commissioner Meyer, you made comments in regards to nobody talks about too many burger places. You're right, nobody talks about that. But I will make a comment that there's a lot more fast food places in South Oxnard in a concentrated area than there is in the North Oxnard. Talked about gas stations. I absolutely agree. There is an oversaturation of gas stations. But when gas stations come up before the commission, if any, we take it as it is and listen to the community. During the time of COVID, it's a little bit more difficult to try to get that community input. And during commission comments, I'm going to be asking staff just exactly what those letters look like, that there is no public participation at this level, and why the public participation of outcry as to why didn't we hear about this always occurs at the city council. Because if it looks like a black and white, and it's going to the trash like junk mail. I believe this group can do good things, as you mentioned in your success in the presentation. And it was already mentioned before that every year, cannabis dispensary locations have to go through a review to determine if they keep their license or not. But I'm sorry, the city has a rough history, but we are fixing that rough history. We are constantly evolving, and that is through the help of new leadership in our city that is bringing us out of those dark days of our city. But those concerns continue to lie in the back of the heads of those that have been actively engaged in the city and know of those dark days. Unfortunately, again, I look at the oversaturation, and this is oversaturating. All three businesses on the same block, literally within a minute of each other. If it was spread out, sure, but someone can easily argue, well, look at Vineyard. It's oversaturated also. Yes, a lot of our dispensaries have been approved on Vineyard, but they're spread out. They're not a minute apart from each other. Those are my comments. Commissioner Meyer.
Thank you, Chair Chavez, and I do appreciate your comments, and I think everybody should have an opportunity to air out their perspectives for sure. And if I saw coming for us, corner markets, liquor stores, my public health hat as a public health professional would be on tight, because there's plenty of research and evidence to show that having those located near schools, having those located near more impoverished neighborhoods can exacerbate issues around minor access to cigarettes, minor access to alcohol, which doesn't have any of the safeguards that the cannabis dispensaries do around who can get in, who can have access, having advertisements versus not, which cannabis dispensaries are not allowed to have outward advertisements. So they don't have the controls. And so there are busts frequently around children under 18 accessing cigarettes and tobacco products, or liquor and various alcohol products. I can remember back in my college days, that was a game we play, or in high school even. Where can you go to get alcohol? And everybody knew the places that would sell that. And there were very few restrictions that would make it so that you couldn't do that. And none of this is in place in regard to the cannabis. So I'd be concerned about access to alcohol, access to tobacco, the way it is at liquor stores and corner markets, access to sugar sweetened beverages, access to highly processed foods, as well as what Chair Chavez mentioned around fast food restaurants and proliferations of fast food restaurants in more impoverished areas, and the lack of grocery stores that provide abundant fresh produce, and the food desert issues. Those things I'd be very concerned about. So my perspective with cannabis is the concerns that I'd have around those don't exist there. This is an extremely controlled environment, and the access is tightly denied to minors. So we don't have those concerns. We have security that discourages any loitering. So all of those things show up, and the experience of Port Hueneme, for example, shows up as beneficial to reductions in crime and to the safety of neighborhoods. So that's what's encouraging for me. And that's why I want to make clear my support. And while understanding the concerns, I don't see those in the same way that I do in those other businesses, including restaurants that serve alcohol, for example, where somebody could consume the product on site, leave, and could potentially be driving under the influence. Whereas that is not allowable at a cannabis dispensary. You cannot consume the product. You have to go away, and it's only legal in one's residence. So I want to clarify the differences that I see. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Meyer. Commissioner Nash.
Thank you, Chair Chavez. So just to be clear, this is the time to make deliberative comments also?
Yes, sir.
Okay, first I have a question for Mr. Rizal, and that is about the annual review of the dispensary's permit. What exactly does that mean?
The process is set forth that it gives the city an opportunity in which to have a revocation hearing to revoke a permit and not renew the permit if the cannabis operator does not comply with the conditions of approval. As we indicated at the hearings regarding the other two dispensaries on A Street, to the extent that the operators do not meet the requirements, city staff are committed to taking appropriate steps to ensure that the applicant and of course the operators reach compliance, or if not, then revocation hearings would take place. So that is something that from the city council on down to our code enforcement staff are committed to ensuring that each operator complies with those rules.
But the public and the planning commission will not have a chance to participate in that hearing?
Absolutely. This basically, if there's going to be a revocation of a hearing, a revocation of a permit, it would occur at a public hearing, and it would occur before the planning commission because you are the body that granted it. So in those situations, it would be basically a mini trial where the city would put on its evidence of why the holder of that permit has not complied with the conditions and the evidence that supports the revocation. The cannabis operator would then be given the opportunity to rebut that, and a determination would be made by the planning commission. So this deliberative body would absolutely have the opportunity to weigh in and make a determination, basically acting as a jury under this scenario.
Okay, thank you for that. That's very important for us to know. Now, since this is a special use permit, does that run with the land or with the owner?
Yes, once a SUP is granted, it is a property right. So under our state and federal constitution, if you're taking away a property right, you have to provide due process. So the due process would be the public hearing, basically a revocation hearing, which could then be appealed to the city council as well.
Okay, thank you very much for that. We will greatly miss you when you retire, Mr. Rizal. I always appreciate your conciseness. Okay. Now I do have a couple of comments, and they revolve around this process that we've been involved in for the past year, because we've had to, approve these permits without any experience. And I think if we had to do it over again, we might have slowed down the process a little bit and maybe approved maybe 2 permits per quarter, so we could gain some experience, because right now it's pure speculation. We have no idea at the commission level how these things are going to impact the community. The owners of the dispensaries, they have reams and reams of experience, but it's really hard for that to get translated to our level. So we're certainly flying blind, and I'm a little bit concerned about that. That is one of the reasons why these hearings go on for several hours, when they should be a simple matter, really, because we do have so many questions about how these dispensaries will impact the community, and I'm very concerned about that. So we ask our questions and we raise our concerns, and we vote the best we can. I'm pleased to hear the response that Mr. Rizal gave me about the review process. I think that will give us an opportunity to maybe right some deficiencies that become more apparent as time goes on. So if this is the time to also make a motion, I'm prepared to approve the staff's recommendation. And I thank you, Chair Chavez, for the opportunity to make these comments.
Thank you, Commissioner Nash. Commissioner Dr. Lopez, there we go. I saw the hand go up and down.
I'm going to just wrap my concluding thoughts and then follow up on that motion that was just made. I think concluding thoughts, I'll say that I had many of the same concerns that folks had. I looked at the address on the application. I Googled it. I'm like, wait, where's this at? Okay, right across the street. Initial reservation was like, serious reservation. Again, I think just kind of going through this hearing, seeing the applicant's presentation, certainly, some of their real-time reactions to some of the concerns that were brought up, did make me move from where I was at the start of this hearing. A lot of the things that I think folks have general concerns about, there's guardrails for that. There's these conditions that have to be met, not only to open and begin your business, but then to have your license renewed every 12 months. I think that the applicant team certainly has taken note of, homelessness concern, check. New navigation center, we'll research what that is. Some relationships, some calls to make, I have confidence that they will, follow through and follow up on that. Again, the oversaturation, valid concern. But I think if it was to be able to work anywhere, it perhaps maybe is in this little A Street corridor. It is close to that Wilson neighborhood. We received a letter of support from the chairman of the Wilson neighborhood. I think there was also an email communication that was submitted from Mr. Blum and the extraordinary work and programming that he does in downtown. And these are also endorsements that for me, carry weight and influence, because if you, engage with them and they're supportive, they know downtown better than most of us. So I think all things considered, I'll say I was in one place at the start of this and I'm in another place now. And so I certainly am prepared to support and will second Commissioner Nash's motion.
It's been moved and seconded to approve staff's recommendation of Haven Number 8 LLC doing business as Haven Commercial Cannabis Business Retail Special Use Permit, Planning and Zoning Permit Number 21-516-21. The Planning Commission to find the project to be categorically exempt from environmental review pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act Guidelines, Section 15301, existing facilities, and adopt the resolution 2022-XX approving planning and zoning permit number 21-516-21, special use permit cannabis retail subject to certain findings and conditions. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing and hearing none, Madam Secretary, if we can have the roll call, please.
Commissioner Nash,
Aye.
Commissioner Dr. Lopez,
Aye.
Commissioner Meyer,
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez,
Yes.
Chair Chavez,
No.
motion passes.
Thank you. So we will go ahead and proceed to our next item, which is study sessions and reports. Nothing is listed. Planning Commission business. Commissioners, any business to bring before the commission?
Is open comments correct?
Huh?
Open comments?
Yes, from the.
Yeah, really quick. I didn't find it appropriate to do so or speak more to this earlier since Vice Chair Rejo hadn't even accepted the nomination and the vote hadn't taken place, but just wanted to certainly echo the comments that were made earlier. Very grateful to both of you, Chair and Vice Chair, for your extraordinary, I'll say, and balanced and fair and respectful leadership and your work the past year, even with doing that laborsome review of the bylaws and all that extra work. Super grateful for that. I'm one who believes if it's not broken, why fix it? And to the comments that were made earlier during elections also, I really do appreciate your time, your service, and just wanted to say that you both are doing a truly exceptional job, and thank you. We're grateful.
Thank you, Commissioner Dr. Lopez. Vice Chair Rejo.
Thank you, Chair Chavez. I wanted to take this opportunity to thank my fellow commissioners for their comments in regards for their support for me in regards to Vice Chair. And I'm looking forward to serving under Chair Chavez for this term. And I'm looking forward for the Planning Commission to do their work expeditiously, efficiently, and for the better benefit of the citizens of Oxnard, so the greater population of Oxnard. So thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to the rest of this year. Thanks.
Thank you, Vice Chair Rejo. Commissioner Meyer.
Thank you, Chair Chavez. I had an item that we haven't discussed since it was changed, but it's around the meeting, the time of the meeting. And I think this is the right time we could discuss something like that. Am I correct, staff?
Comments can be made. A deliberation on meeting times and whatnot, not so much. There's things that essentially need to be on the agenda for us to really have like a full deliberation, if you will. But brief comments are okay.
Okay, I'm trying to remember how the process worked when we went from what the meeting time was when when Commissioner Chavez started, which was 7 o'clock, to then going to 6. I know that Chair Frank at that time felt that it made more sense to have the meeting start at 6 than at 7. I guess the idea was that city staff would need to devote less work hours if the meeting was an hour earlier. And so I guess what I'm saying is I would like to have that raised as an agenda item for discussion and deliberation. Because for myself, I found 7 o'clock to be a preferable time. I'm not interested in lengthening meetings beyond what we've already experienced. We still have the 11 o'clock hour to discuss, whether we want to continue or not with items. So I'm curious about how it is for others. I know like Commissioner Nash is retired, so that might be different for him. I think the rest of us are still working jobs. And so I know for myself, it can be challenging. Work often doesn't end at 5, and then creating dinner or figuring out dinner before the meeting just typically doesn't happen. And it's so it's just an odd time for me. I found 7 preferable, but yeah, that would be my request, that we just raise it as an item so I can hear how the other commissioners and the staff feel about the timing.
Thank you, Commissioner Meyer. Commissioner Sanchez.
Yes, thank you, Chair Chavez. For me, it would be either one, but you know, if I can understand, you know, if people especially are working.
Commissioner Sanchez, I apologize for cutting you off, and just keeping in line with the remarks that Mr. Colwitz made, that we can't really engage in a conversation about this particular item because it's not agendized.
Oh.
So I'm sure staff heard it, and we would hopefully be able to see it on a future agenda that we could have that that dialogue. So I just don't want us to have any Brown Act issues. So
Okay.
do you have any other additional comments?
No, not at all. Thank you.
Okay. Any additional comments from the commission? Very briefly, I'll just say, once again, Metrolink free rides on the entire system all day tomorrow for Transit Equity Day, and as well as the celebration of Rosa Parks' birthday. Also, Monday, February 7th is the last day to submit any maps for the city's redistricting process. So please participate in that. It's a very important role that we all play. And I just want to kind of echo the same comments of Commissioner Dr. Lopez and the other commissioners, that Vice Chair Rejo, you have done an amazing job as the Vice Chair. And I appreciate your guidance when it comes to Robert's Rules of Order. It is a very lengthy book. I think I'm barely on page 25 or something, but it's definitely great to be able to have our meetings, in my opinion, very efficient. And I hear those comments from the other commissioners that it's been pretty efficient. So I appreciate being able to lean on you for guidance on the procedures for Robert's Rules, and then overall your input, and appreciate you stepping in when I need to step away. So I do appreciate it, and I look forward to another great year. I'm very proud of this commission. I believe we are a little bit of Oxnard from all corners of our city, and we bring in that information, and we really do serve on behalf of the entire city. Is there any additional business? Seeing and hearing none, we'll go to community development staff updates. Mr. Colwitz.
And Chair Chavez, thank you. And members of the commission, thank you again. Congratulations on having a meeting that ended before midnight. This was quite awesome. And congratulations to the re-elected chair and vice chair. Just a couple of quick announcements for you. As we look forward, there haven't been any items that have happened before City Council on Planning Commission items since our last meeting, so I'm just going to go jumping forward. Coming up on February 15th, City Council is going to be hearing 2 items you've recently taken action on. The 2 appeals, we told you that 2 appeals have been filed, one on the Starbucks drive-through project off of Vineyard and River Park, and the other one, the TD Enterprises Oxnard Holistics dispensary on Harbor Boulevard. Those appeals both will be heard on February 15th. So the packet should be publishing tonight as well if you want to get early reading to see what's going on with those. So that's just a quick heads up for you. The only other meeting I'm going to focus on then is yours, which is February 17th. We had 1 cannabis item continued from today. It's going to join 2 others on that same evening. And what that means is that will be the night that we're wrapping up the 16th and final public hearing on the 16 cannabis retail dispensaries. So congratulations to the Planning Commission for going through the gauntlet with us on all of that. We look forward to your deliberation on those final 3. In addition, as if 3 of those weren't fun enough, we actually have another drive-through project that's trying to get onto that agenda as well. So it might be another full evening. So I just wanted to prepare you all mentally for that as we're gearing up. Aside from that, I have no further announcements, but just staff as a whole are very appreciative of your time and your diligence and the perspective that all of you bring. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kolowitz, for teasing us with an early end meeting and then slamming us for our next one. Do we have any questions for Mr. Kolowitz? Seeing and hearing none. Since there's no further business before the commission, and if there's no objection to adjournment, we will stand adjourned to our next meeting, regular meeting for Thursday, February 17th, 2022 at 6 p.m. As always, commissioners and staff, thank you for your hard work. Thank you to the public for the participation, and stay safe, everyone. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.